What's up, guys? Welcome to chat number 23. Today, we're here with Peeked at You. And if you guys don't know Peeked at You, you definitely should by now because he has been doing some incredible interviews with some of the biggest collectors, business people, content creators in all of Pokemon. I don't know how you're getting all these big names on your channel, but it's pretty awesome. And you're talking to literally the CEO of PSA. The CEO? Yeah, the CEO, right? Or
Mhm.
the owner or
CEO.
CEO of PSA in 2 days. And that's going to be it's always a fun conversation when people get him in an interview, and hopefully yours will be fun just the same. So if you could introduce yourself and tell us kind of who you are and let the people know where they can find you before we get started, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. First off, thanks so much for having me on this. We were talking a bit pre-stream. 23, although I love that it's like Jordan's number, I'm sure you are burnout by like number 4. So I appreciate you going through this challenge of having all these people on. I've watched like the majority of them, and they've been really awesome conversations. So I don't think people give you enough credit during these. So I will start off first by saying like, thank you for putting out this much content in this short amount of time.
Yeah,
I could not do it. So props to you.
appreciate that.
But yeah, I'm peaked at you. I do a few things in the hobby. I've been in for 7, almost 8 years, something like that. YouTube peaked at you. I do, as Java said, lots of interviews with different people, personalities, investors, business people, collectors, a little bit of everything. It's a series called Collector Showcase, where I have on people that I find very interesting, where I feel like the hobby doesn't really get to see them in a kind of a live one-on-one setting very often, and I try to give that to everybody. And so far, it's been really great. We're on season 2 right now. Season 1 was a couple of years ago, so this has been a long time coming to do this again, and yeah, been doing that for quite some time. As far as the hobby itself, I buy, sell, invest, whatever you want to call it. Do that. I have an LLC business that I do that through, and yeah, just try to stay as engaged as I possibly can. Most of the people that you and I are both mutual friends with, they've become actual friends over these last couple of years. So, but yeah, Pikachu. If you see a Nigel Thornberry face on a Pikachu body, that is that is me ultimately. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to talk tonight.
Of course. Yeah. If you could give us kind of a highlight of season 2, like who have you talked to so far and what can people expect from a lot of the conversations that you're having with these people?
Yeah, so if you guys look on YouTube, I've got a whole playlist built out, but I've been going since I think it's either January or February. Honestly, I can't even remember at this point, but I just had Pokey Chloe on a few days ago. I've got Nat Turner, as Java said, the CEO of PSA, coming on Friday. I did, if you guys are familiar with Dubsy or Dubsy Collection on Instagram, he was the one who sold Logan Paul his $5.25 million Illustrator. Never done an interview before. I was his first. So we did that a couple of weeks ago. And then some, recognizable faces. I've had Dan Catchball Collectibles, Old School Pokemon. I've got Dave Person coming on in a couple of weeks. So a lot of really cool people. I mean, just people that you really, there's a combination of people who are always on YouTube and always doing content. And then there's my goal was to really have a good selection of people who really don't do interviews, much less have much content out there. So I want to say one of the first ones was 90s Kid for Life. If you're in the Pokemon space, you've probably seen him on Instagram. I think he has like 4 or 5 million Instagram followers. He does a lot of like nostalgia content. And then I think the second one was Leonhardt. So we've had some
Mm.
really, really cool people on. And one thing I really enjoy is being able to give people who, see these people as, I guess, let's call it like starstruck or whatever you want to call it. Like they're scared to ask questions or have never been able to, they're not going to read their Instagram DMs normally. They can just ask questions live. Normally we've got anywhere between 20 to 30 people for some of these guys. And I mean, it's actually pretty great for anybody who wants to like engage with them directly. I mean, it really is a medium for them to do that. And we go through every single question. So, yeah, some pretty cool people, man. I mean, I'm very lucky to be able to have some of these relationships and have some great conversations, with that.
Yeah, I like that you seem to be choosing a variety of people. I think a lot of the podcasts that have guests on can kind of sit in a lane and like a modern investing podcast brings on modern investors, and they talk about modern investing, and it's like it's fun to have this. This was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this month is I've talked to so many people that have so many different businesses and do TCG player, they do content, they do consignments, they do, they work at PSA, it's just like a multitude of different experiences and stuff. And now learning about that instead of just hearing kind of the same stuff over and over again is very fun. And I feel like you do a lot of that on your stuff as well, which I think is really cool. So,
well, thank you. I mean, it's one of those things in our content space now. It's, I say the broader Pokemon content. I mean, I'm still finding people that have like 10,000 subs I've never heard of, which is just, in our little bubbles, like, it's like, I've never heard of this person. Like, who are they? And maybe they're a whatnot seller. Maybe they're just big on YouTube. Who knows? But, the reason I started doing kind of the series and the interview stuff is, I enjoy talking to people. Usually it's kind of similar to yourself. I can have pretty organic conversations without having to have like a very structured, like, oh, I'm kind of nervous talking to this person. Like it's always been really authentic, I guess. And in our space, it's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of clickbait. It's a lot of like negative stuff about, oh, the market's down, or it's every thumbnail is like either going this way or it's going that way, and it's only talking about boxes and singles and stuff like that. And I think there is a place for that. I mean, I love like Danny Phantom. He's somebody I'd love to talk to because I love his videos. I'm really enjoying a lot of his content that he puts out, and I think he's one of the very small circle of people who are kind of they talk the talk and walk the walk. Like, he really does do that. But I felt like there was kind of an area of content that wasn't really being filled. Like, I wanted to see some of these people that I saw on like Instagram or that I knew of that, man, they've got like, a seven figure collection. Like, why has no one spoken to this person? Like, do people not realize like how much some of these cards are, or how interesting and unique this collection is, or how interesting and unique this person is? So, when I first got into this and started doing it, I built a lot of these relationships. Anyone that I have on the channel, I've interacted with and we've spoken. So that is something I try to always make sure that people know. I'm not just like looking for people for clout or numbers or anything like that. Like, we've had a relationship for a decent amount of time. So, people have probably heard me sing this praise a lot of time, but I'm really big into having relationships that don't have transactional undertones, so like, I think that's something that a lot of people appreciate. I'm not a very large channel. I think actually we're 4 subscribers away from 600. So we're hitting a milestone I never even thought was possible. But I think that's kind of the attractive thing. When people come on, they know I'm not content farming them. They know I'm not just some person who's like, oh, I'm going to repost you to TikTok, like left and right. Like, I'm literally interested in just putting you more in front of the community. And I think that's been really the big, response, from anyone I've asked. They're like, sure. Like, I barely get no's when I ask people to come on, which I feel so incredibly blessed and lucky to do that. But I think that the reason for that is the authenticity, again, the true friendship relationship. And I think that was missing, in our hobbies. So I could rant about that all day. I'm sorry. I'm a talker.
Yeah, no, I think, Vitalix. So share your channel so you can get your milestone. Yeah, it's linked actually at the top of chat. It should be pinned at the top of chat. Should take you right to his YouTube if you want to subscribe there. Yeah, hopefully we can get you over that 600 sub mark. That would be awesome.
Thank you so much. Subscribe. Vitalik D. I like that name. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. That was one thing that we talked with Wonder about, was kind of, I think Wonder and probably you and me in the same, like, the viewership and stuff almost doesn't even matter as long as the conversation is good, as long as you feel like you're having like a fruitful conversation with somebody. Like, I know that most of the conversations I have this month are not going to get as many views as my next CGC return video, but it's going to provide me and hopefully the people who watch them a lot more value than the next CGC return video. So I'm okay sacrificing, a month's worth of for 1,000 view videos to have a couple great conversations that only get a couple hundred views, because I'd rather have those great conversations and build those relationships than just farm the next video.
Right. Exactly. And I think the motivation, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I don't look at the views and don't wish they were.
Oh no, yeah,
sure. I mean, there's for me, I do have to take a step back as well because I don't necessarily pay attention to a lot of like I didn't get into this to be a YouTuber necessarily. I know you've been incredibly successful with your channel. I mean, like to even have the amount of subs you do is like amazing. Like, it's like a pipe dream for me, when it comes to that. But I have to remind myself, like Dubsy, for example. I feel like that was one of the biggest interviews personally this hobby has ever seen. Again, that's just me. Like, I'm probably a little bit biased, right? Because he was on my channel. But if anybody else had him on, I'd have been like, why does this not have like, a bazillion views at this point? Like, this is the guy who was really co-responsible. I'd say 50, maybe even more percent responsible for our first boom, back in 2020. I mean, it really is amazing to be able to like see somebody like that. So I agree with you to where, yes, as long as I have good conversations, but ultimately, like when I'm picking guests, I mean, I can have a great conversation with just about anybody, I think, but being able to have people on that people really don't see ever, because I mean, we all know people who, and nothing against them, this is just part of the game, but like, they cycle through all our friends' channels, right? Like, it's one guest and they just hit everybody. That's enjoyable, right? But at some point, you've got to be able to kind of expand that. And even doing collector showcase, I do have people that are outside of just the Pokemon space. Excuse me. Being able to have people who are actually into collectibles, because I really do see my channel, my series, like what I'm doing is kind of expanding in the collectibles industry as a whole. Pokemon is obviously going to be heavy because that's the big, community that I'm involved in, and where I really, that's my niche. But like I've got Brunamoth who's coming on, or I don't know how you say it. I'll have to ask him like how you say his name. But if you're not familiar with him, he collects a lot of Dragon Ball like art cells. Like, he's probably arguably, and I follow it pretty heavily. I don't see anyone who has a collection like him. Like, he's one of the coolest, like amazing collections. I've known him for like 3 years, and we've just spoken and spoken and spoken. And finally, I was like, "Hey, dude, I want to have you on. Like, you collect such cool stuff." That's kind of what I really want to focus on. And do I think there should be more views on that stuff? Absolutely. Do I think there should be more views than, again, CGC rage bait or random stuff like that? Absolutely. But I also am like, I understand that like that's not how people's attention spans work. Like, there's certain people, and there is a core audience that does follow me and like comment, and I'm so thankful for them. They're like, holy crap, you got this person on. Like, it's amazing. Thank you so much for answering my question. Like, I love reading those comments. And it does make it worth it. I just wish, in a fun YouTube utopia, no pun intended, that we would be able to have people engage in this type of content that you're doing and that like, Wonder's doing and people like that. Because I do find it so much more refreshing than gloom and doom market talk, personally.
Yeah. No, I agree. Before we go any further, let me acknowledge the people in chat. I guess I have thought.
Please do. They're great guys. I see them.
We got Kai. What's going on? We got Hoodoo. We got Vitalik. Pullfather's here.
What did I call him? It's Vitalik?
I don't know. It's Vitalik, Vitalik. I'm not sure. I say it all different ways all the time. Quilly's here. How did you get such a nice house? Can you show us the cabinet full of World's cards?
Yeah, it's like I keep it behind the fireplace in the vault, actually. So you know how it is.
Pullfather. Pete, do you know how to play piano?
I do know how to play a little bit of like keys and stuff. I made I still to this day do, but I made electronic music like for a very long time back in like 2011, 2012. I had a couple songs like signed to like a couple of different indie labels and stuff, which was cool. Got to see my stuff played at like the biggest venue that I've seen electronic shows in Dallas, which was awesome. Nice. So I have a little bit of musical talent, but I can't like traditionally sit down and play like anything. I mean, the only thing I've attempted to learn was like the Call of Duty Zombies like piano theme. Beyond that, no, I'm not a classically trained piano player.
We got Nan P. How's it going? Shug is here. Mason's here. What's up, Mason?
Gotta love Mason Berry in a chat. That always makes me happy.
Ern is here. Loving the lives peak. Nice breath of fresh air.
Thank you, Ern. I see you in there, so I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Hoodoo has a question. Are you looking to get Pokemon employees, artists, or world champions on the pod?
So I can spoil, I guess, a little bit on here. It's not necessarily scheduled on my YouTube, but so I have to confirm a date, but it's been agreed upon. I will have Melly on. If you guys know the Art Academy Chef Pikachu Art Academy card, if
Oh,
anybody,
Chef's gonna go crazy for that.
yeah. So Melly is the artist, the original artist of that. So she's
That's
going to
awesome.
be, she's going to come on. I just have to confirm dates because she's in the UK, so I have to like it's usually morning streams a lot of the time. World champions will be. I will be having Blastoise Kid on again. That was a super favorite of season 1. He
Oh,
won
was
the
that the guy that was
2002
ripping Legendary Collection and
Legendary.
shit?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's really deep in the Lorcana now and is like
Okay.
competing and doing a bunch of stuff. And him and I have talked like ever since then. Like he blew up after he came on because I mean everybody wanted to buy like his museum of a basement that he showed
Mhm.
off during that stream. So for anybody who doesn't know, he won the 2002 Tropical Mega Battle, which was, I mean, talk about like an OG's OG. Like, I mean, he was 14, I think, like winning a lot of these tournaments. His whole family has basically a dynasty around like winning all these early tournaments before Worlds was really a thing. Um, so him and I have stayed in touch, and I've just got to send him like a couple of dates. But I was like, hey, dude, it's been a couple of years. Like, I kind of want to like bring you back and show people what you're doing now because he's really deep in the Lorcana, which I find really cool. So he would be what I would call a world champion. Pokemon employees, I don't know any. To be honest, if I had a connection like that, I would be very interested in it. But realistically, like Rusty kind of owns all the WotC employees at this point. Like he's got all those connections. So
Yeah.
it would be cool. I would love to have somebody from like Game Freaks or like Creatures or something like from the old days, but I just don't know anyone, at this point. So
Yeah. I had Jake's business partner, Dylan Lefevre,
mhm.
on, and that was one of the more, no shade to anyone else that I've talked to this month, but that I know nothing about the gameplay of Pokemon. I know nothing about Worlds. I know nothing about any of that. So having him on discussing all of that and how it's changed over the years, and that was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah,
Super nice guy too.
Echo based collectibles, Echo Joe. He's I mean, he was like either competing or judging or something in 2004. So I had him on with Blastoise Kid because they kind of had that connection of like early day competing.
Yeah.
And I do find that like fascinating. Like I love the idea of like way back. I mean, they had 300 and something people at the '04 Worlds tournaments. Like if you're one of those OGs who like competed, like that's so many cool stories. Like I could only
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Looking forward to all of those. Those will be awesome. So I have a question about some of your interviews so far. So has there been a key takeaway that has personally either impacted you on a personal level or your business from any of the interviews that you've had so far? Anything that stands out?
It's a really good question. I won't say personally, only because like anything that because again, I have usually a personal relationship with everyone who I've
Mm,
spoken with, so we've like talked, and there's kind of that. But as far as like business, I don't want to say Dan because honestly, anything that we've spoken about, he's spoken about. He speaks about like twice a week or whatever. So I would say maybe my most recent one with Nick, Old School Pokemon, was kind of enlightening. Reason being, I mean, first off, he's a workhorse of a human when it comes to like being in this hobby and being in business. If anybody doesn't know, Old School Pokemon with a K, like he is like the eBay streamer for Pokemon. I'm sure everybody on this channel knows about him, but if not, like Nick is a workhorse. Like it's like when people are like, "Oh, I'm a one man show," like he is a one man show. I mean, he's got Walrus for shipping, but realistically, this guy works like crazy hours. But one thing I really enjoyed the takeaway from him was him talking about looking at Probstein's um, auction platform. I think it's called Bid, if I'm not
big, yeah.
mistaken. Somebody might need to check me on that. But um, his thought process behind getting into the ground floor and then building something up, because he did that with eBay. He was
Mm,
one of the very early adopters of that eBay Live. Just being able to look at things as like, hey, if you're kind of a pioneer of a certain medium of being able to like buy and sell cards, I think it gives you a very big strategic advantage. But the biggest thing I kind of took away from our conversation was you can't just like, I don't know if I can curse on here, but like you can't half-ass it. Like you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? Like you've
yeah.
got to really go in and build your brand and really be consistent. And Nick is, in my opinion, like the epitome of someone who does not slow down. Like when he gets in and gets the opportunity, he goes after it. So as far as takeaway from me, from a business standpoint is being able to um, open my avenues of like what I want to do, where I want to get things, where I want to sell things, and being able to be more open. Like, for example, like I grade a lot with CGC now, and I never really did. But, Nick is one of those people who is kind of that prime example of like, hey, if you adopt something new, there is a way to be able to make it work for you, as long as you're willing to put in the work. So, like,
Yeah.
it kind of just gave me a little bit more of a validation more than anything of like, hey, if you're looking at different avenues than you had before, like it's okay. So that's what I would say. Probably Nick, if I'm going off the cuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough too, because like Nick kind of went, I mean, there was a transition period, but he basically went all in with his business into eBay Live. And that was a risk to some degree. Like, I'm sure that if it didn't work out,
He was doing 700K on eBay without lots. So
right,
he was doing
he would have been fine otherwise. But to basically take what works and take all of that and put it into something new that you hope works, that's a risky decision. So and to stick through, he had some major issues along the way with certain buyers and stuff too, and eBay figuring out the problems and helping him, and to weather the storm and be able to work through all of that without giving up or without going back to the thing that you knew worked,
Right.
safety net is, that's pretty impressive to stick with it and not. So
and honestly, probably the most positive person I've ever met in this hobby. So shout out Nick. If you watch this back, you're amazing, dude.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Let's see. What's up, Cornell? How's it going? So I'm curious if you had a plan coming into this year for your Pokemon business and how that plan changed with the boom happening, because I definitely had a plan and it had definitely changed. So I'm curious if you're in the same boat, if you had a plan going in and whether or not it was thwarted or uprooted, or you had to, shift and change or do something different. How did the boom kind of in January, February time shift that?
Well, I think you have to, right? Like there's if you're stagnant, you fail. If you're adaptable, like you'll succeed. That's always been something I've tried to do, like whether it be like my actual professional life or doing this. I really tried to overhaul a lot of my buying and selling starting around like September of last year. I've always been involved in it, but my biggest kind of niche was low volume, high value. That was kind of my, with world promos. I think, somebody had mentioned earlier, like in kind of like the lower end trophies and stuff like that. Like I was really early on and kind of an early adopter of chasing after those, and finding them was really the hardest part. Nowadays, you can't really do that. They're everywhere and everybody's grading them, and that's the premium that you pay. So my main thing was I wanted to get to basically grading like 100 cards a month with PSA was my goal. And from like September until, really now, basically like that, I've achieved that. Like it's 100 cards a month is what I'm shipping off to them, because I wanted consistent returns. I wanted consistent inventory to be able to do for shows or things like that.
Yeah.
So then January happened, right? January, February, whatever that catalyst was for this insanity. And what I pivoted but in addition was, first off, expanding who I grade with, because PSA, that's been, I'd say for the last month, like I've been grading a lot with CGC, mainly for turnaround times. Because granted, sure, is the grading scale different, all that, absolutely. But just from sheer turnaround times, like I don't want to wait 6-7 months for my cards. Like I need to move stuff, this year, preferably. So grading a lot with them, adopting a little bit more on like Fanatics and being able to use them as not only just a buying tool, but also a selling tool. So kind of expanding that after the boom happened was a big one. And then being able to, go after inventory for streamers was a big one starting in like mid-January for me. Like, I know you do that. You've got some partnerships set up with like Chef and some other guys, but my main thing was basically finding packs for these guys, which really just equated to being able to acquire product at MSRP, which is such a crazy world we live in. Like that's you're making money on MSRP product.
Yeah. So
really chasing after that, making sure that I constantly have stuff in, found some local buyers here where I live who will buy packs off me at basically like whatever market is, which is really nice. But then also if I'm able to take, a few hundred packs of like 151 or something like that, being able to reach out to like, my collective of like 6 or 7 guys who stream and just say, hey, like, what are you guys paying? Can I ship you this? Do you need this? And even if they're not paying the most, like there's a couple of guys I try to take care of that I'm like, hey, I've got a bunch of these. Like, this is all yours if you want it before I even reach out to anybody. So really it was just, kind of diversifying what I was doing as far as like making revenue. And
Yeah.
I think with the boom, it's hard, man. Like it's like you have to, like, if I just focused on grading cards with PSA, I wouldn't have any inventory right now. You know what I mean? Like I would be, as we talked pre-stream, like I'd be looking at a bunch of R&D subs, like just waiting. So being able to do that, also going to a lot more local shows, being able to buy a lot from there. I really have spent quite a bit of capital, like at like Dallas Card Show, North Texas Card Show, places like that. Being able to buy stuff at like decent margins. I mean, a lot of vendors, they're like, I want 98%. Here's your 2% discount. But there's also, some people who are like, hey, you're buying at my table, like I'll give you a deal. So really just shooting a little bit of everything, versus, tail end of last year, it was like, hey, I'm grading cards and that's what I'm doing. Now I'm doing a little bit of everything. Like, why not? I mean, there's so much opportunity in this hobby right now. I mean, that even with Japanese, I mean, it's like, there's a lot of stuff to do. And I've always treated this current like market boom or whatever you want to call it as temporary, which means I'm working that much harder to get things in and out as quickly as possible. So
Yeah.
I would say that.
Yeah. Similar boat. It's funny that you say high value, low volume. I wish I could get to that point. I am high volume,
not liquid though,
low
man.
value.
It's hard to tie up capital for that long.
Yeah.
Like back then, I didn't really have an issue because price points were kind of in the realm in which I wanted. But nowadays, if you try to do that, I mean, you're sitting on. I mean, for some of the cards like I had, like you're sitting on a lot of money just sitting there, and it's like you never really know. They would have to be super long term holds. I don't think you're flipping like high end trophies nowadays. I mean, you probably are, but like it's hard. It's hard to do that.
Yeah. And I think it works better for streamers probably to do the more high volume, low value because they seem to target like $50 and less, and now and again like maybe $100 or $200 slab, but yeah. So funny that you say that. I would say a couple things that I have recently started doing is I'm gonna sell raw more on eBay because on eBay. I know, horrible. I have
get your envelope labels ready. That's
I have kind of cheap like Japanese ARs and ultra rares and stuff, but I have just like high volume of popular Pokemon, whatever, and they might only be like $3 or $4 cards, but I have like 20 of them. So it's like I just slap a thing up there, put 20 quantity, whatever happens, because I have more than Chef needs. So, but I want to move through it. I don't want to wait,
Why don't you grade them?
So, because most of them are grading misses. So they were ones that I personally chose not to at the time. But so I've started leaning into that a little bit. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, shoot.
I was going to say, because it's Japanese, you kind of have like the fun coupon free pass when it comes to grading for a lot of those. It's like pristine. Like, why not?
Oh, there's probably a lot of pristine sitting in there, but yeah. And I have been doing the local shows, buying more English and trying to understand.
Really?
Yeah, trying to understand grading English and buying English and pre-grading and all that stuff because I feel
God
like
King bleeds. I can't believe it. I've been harping this in your chats forever.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So apologies for the quality of the cards because I can't even imagine.
Oh, it's so bad.
Right now. You are so hard on Japanese to go into English and be like, what doesn't have a dot at this point? Like, what doesn't have whitening? I can only imagine the struggle you're going through of like, you probably think it's like a 7. And it's like, nope, this is a 10. Like, yeah. You're so used to basically perfect cards.
It's definitely going to be an experiment. And I'm doing most of that experimenting with CGC. I'm kind of doing the same route that I did with cards in the beginning. Was way in the beginning when I first got in. I was sending whatever cards to CGC when they were giving everything like 8 and 8.5 and just
Right.
getting slammed. And so I learned how to pre-grade off of that CGC. So I am probably much more strict than I need to be in most cases for most cards, but I feel like to some degree that that's helped. So I'm sending these English cards to CGC in hopes that they just slam me, and then we'll see at some point if PSA becomes more available. Maybe I'll start sending stuff there. But again, it's lower cost stuff. So sending at $20 a card or $19 a card or whatever it is doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for that stuff. But
It doesn't. I mean, and that's the hard thing, is because there's such a premium on these cheap cards. And like that's one thing a lot of, I was made fun of for quite some time in like Discord about buying like $4, $5, $6 trainer galleries like left and right. Like I loaded up on those. Not that I thought there was going to be some crazy boom on them, but I was just like, these are super cool cards, and they're, let's say if I spend $4, it's like I'm spending whatever PSA was, 17, like to grade them. And I was like, they're selling for like $70. I was like, this is amazing. Like, how could I not do this? Like, I mean, it's sourcing mint copies, and that's always hard. But, I put a lot of my, like, what I considered like PSA 8s or 9s back. And then the boom happens, and it's like, whoa, like the Pikachu from Lost Origin is like a $200 card. The Mew from Crown Zenith is like a $200 card. Like, what? And so then I just full sent like a lot of stuff I was sitting on, which really helped. They've come down since then, but
yeah,
there's so much opportunity in lower value raw, because I think that especially during the super spike in illustration rares and stuff like that going up, I think the raw price never caught up to the graded PSA 10 price, like for quite some time. I mean, right there toward the tail end, like it started, those cards that were $4 were going for like $20. People knew like, hey, like there's demand for these. They're getting bought out.
yeah,
But I think that, yeah, a lot of people just, they didn't realize. I mean, I think that obviously everything's corrected a little bit. So I think that's gone down a little bit. Now the raw is like lagging and coming down versus like the graded copies, but we might be at a permanent price. I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, there's so much money in like, $5 to $20 cards. Like people have no idea.
Yeah. Cornell has a question. How do you know what Japanese cards are going to do well? So it depends on what you mean by do well. So do you mean by will be profitable, or do you mean will grade highly? There's kind of a couple different answers to that. Will grade highly, like most modern Japanese cards, as long as you look them over and make sure there aren't any dents or anything, you'll probably do pretty well on them, because Japanese cards are in much better condition than most English cards out of the pack. When it comes to Japanese cards are going to be profitable, you got to do the basic math of like, how much is the raw card? How much is it to grade? How much can I sell it for? How much are the fees? Subtract everything together, and how much do I make? Roughly.
And just watch Java's, best flips of the month and copy all his plays and ignore his disclaimer. Like that's all you have to do.
Exactly. But I tend to focus on popular Pokemon because I think that they have higher demand. So, and how do you determine that? Well, you see what sells. You can look at Terapeak on eBay and type in Charizard PSA and see how many, what quantity of PSA cards are selling for Charizard versus, Ice Cube or something like that. And you can figure out, you can look on online polls, popularity polls, stuff like that. But over time, with more and more selling and grading and buying, you'll understand what people want better. It just takes time and actual experience selling the cards to really determine what will do all kind of in the future. So, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of like Peak said, there's lots of $5 cards that when you grade them, you can sell them for between $50 and $65. And that's pretty decent margin, especially if you're CGC for $13 now or PSA for 17. It's like you're still doing pretty well. Like that's pretty okay. But yeah, I just focus popular Pokemon, and do the math.
And Cornell, I'm not gonna like hijack the question of Japanese because Java is definitely your resident Japanese card expert. But just any cards, I think one thing that really helped me was being able to look at percentage gain and margin versus looking at dollar amounts because there's so many people who tout, hey, I sold a $40,000-$50,000 card, but a lot of people don't realize that they bought it for $40,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they may make 9K, which sure, is that a lot of money? Absolutely. But when you start looking at like percentage gains, it's like if they're only making 20% on that card, but then you've got 100 cards that what was the price you said? Like, say if you buy a card for $5, let's say all in with the card and the grade, you're $20 is your cost, and then you're selling it for like 60, $70. I mean, think about that. I mean, you're talking like in the 100+% margin. I mean, you're doubling your money basically at that point. If you can extrapolate that and do that, maybe in the beginning 10 times, 20 times, you start doing that 100 times, you're killing the guy who's making, all these like crazy Instagram reels about like, oh, I sold this super expensive card. It's like, there's so many opportunities, for the lower value, high volume plays in this hobby. And honestly, anything sub $50, I mean, your opportunities are kind of endless at this point, especially with Japanese, because Japanese is so cheap, in my opinion, from what I've seen. I mean, you look at like Bubble Mew, for example, in Japanese versus like English. It's insane. Or I guess Giratina would probably be another one, right? Or 151 illustration rares are usually the ones I look at personally. I don't buy a lot of art rares or Japanese. I'm mainly focused on English now. So I think that's where most of the opportunity is. But I see some of the art rares and I'm like, this card's $3. I was like, it's like $30 in English. Like it's crazy to see.
Yeah.
But long-term holds, maybe it'll pay off. But realistically, I think if you could do decent on the English or Japanese and you can have a certain amount of percentage that you can sell and make from it, I think that's a better way to look at it versus thinking like dollar amount. So not to hijack your question, but just a kind of a tidbit that's helped me out that's been successful.
Yeah, I used to hear people say like, oh, if I'm getting 20% on a booster box, like I'm happy about that, and I'm like 20%, and then you do the math, and it's like 20% is not all that much compared to these flips that I'm doing, and then now I track all my percentages, and if a percentage is above like 50-60%, I'm like, okay, I've sold 3 of those, I'm gonna buy like 10 more because this is doing well. So yeah, definitely. I definitely follow the percentages a lot more now than I did.
Yeah, liquidity and market or like margin percentage are two of the biggest things. Liquidity is kind of hard because you're not going to sit there and count like the days between sales or anything. But like with modern stuff, you're going to know if it's liquid. If there's like a bazillion selling a day, like you can track that. That's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yep. Nope, I agree. What's up, Thrifty? How's it going? What's up, Gabe? Pole Father's wondering what kind of real estate are you buying these days?
Pole Father says this specifically because I'm always touting real estate in chats with him. I'm not buying anything currently. I bought my current home I live in a little bit less than 2 years ago. So I built it back in the times when people never like wanted to build or buy. If I'm buying anything right now, just to take the question serious, because I always like these because I just give them a serious answer. I'd be buying duplexes personally. I think commercial real estate has been on a absolute bottom barrel price for quite some time right now. So I think that if there's capital available, commercial real estate's not too bad, like especially for things like around residential areas for small retail donut shops and things like that. Like that's a really good play, I think, right now. But I would say like anything like duplex, triplex, you can't really go wrong. I mean, cap rates kind of suck at the moment, but and Pole Father knows I'm in real estate. That's another reason why he's asking that. But that's what I would say. But if you're going to look at a residential home prices are likely, I can almost guarantee you, will not go down. So if you've been saving or you're going to wait it out, please don't. Like, go buy something if you can afford it, because right now I think that there's no chance these prices are going to tank or whatever. So to give you a serious answer, Pole Father, because I'm sure you want one, that's what I would say.
Oh, what's up, Swami? What's up, Boondock?
Oh, we got Swami in.
Yeah.
We get him in the live chat. It's late for him. That's awesome.
So do you have any plans for shows this year? Are you going to Houston this weekend? Are you hitting up the other Texas shows? Because I know you're over there in the South Central. What do they call that? What do they call Texas?
Were there gunshots going on in the background? No. I'm in Dallas, North Dallas. So I'll be at both Dallas Collecticons, 100%. There's one in June and the other is in September, I think. So like Dallas and Fort Worth, but I mean, guys, we're like 4 or 5 cities in one. So I'll be at both of those. But Houston, I won't be at. I personally try to avoid Houston just in general as much as I can. I think it's the armpit of Texas. Not an enjoyable place for me. It's hot. It's muggy. It's not fun. So won't be going there. But as far as shows, I'll be at Dallas Collecticons. I've been going to like Dallas Card Show has actually been really fun. It traditionally was a sports show, but they do 5 a year. It's amazing. I mean, the sheer thousands and thousands of people go there. North Texas card shows seems to be really taking off quite a bit. I went to I'm going to them, that show May 18th is their TCG one. They do a sports and a TCG. So sports is first day, TCG second day. I was talking to somebody else about local shows, like how many people show up. So like the North Texas card show I went to, I guess it was maybe about a month ago. They planned for 5,000 people and the show was from 10 to 5. So by 11 a.m., they were like turning people away at the door because they were completely at capacity. Like I could barely move. Like they probably had 10,000 people show up to that show.
That's crazy.
So it's amazing to like see that amount of people at a quote unquote local show. This has become like a really big hub for a lot of TCG stuff. So I'll be at Dallas Collecticons, both of those. I'm going to attempt. It's a low percentage, but there is a chance as long as things continue taking off and revenue continues coming in, I might be able to make Charlotte, but that would be like the only one I would go to because I want to go hang out with Rusty and like I've been invited the last couple of years and that would be a really fun event for me to go to because I know a lot of those people, but small chance just because I got a family and kids, but we'll see. So that's basically where I'm going to be at, I think, for the most part.
Yeah. Highly recommend Charlotte.
Yeah.
It's in my state. Highly recommend seeing Rusty's operation. It's crazy.
I can't even imagine. He's such a good dude. One of my favorite people in this hobby for sure.
Yeah, he's awesome. Similar situation with local shows here. So Raleigh, there's like 3 groups of people that set up local shows and they kind of rotate in and out of the fairgrounds that we have here. And the fairgrounds has like multiple different like big, buildings that they inhabit. And the last one that I vended at, I don't know what they were hoping would show up, but I think it was like 30 minutes in and they did a call over the PA and they were like, yeah, in our first 30 minutes, we've had 500 people walk through the door already. And it's like, holy crap, dude. It's just insane how many people are into this right now and going
collectibles in general. I mean, it's just where the whole idea and industry is kind of like booming at this point. And I've got a couple of like ideas as to why, but I think anything revolving around collectibles right now is like that is everybody's focus. And as funny as it sounds, it's like everybody, I understand like we're in sort of a bubble of like echo chamber is probably a better way. I don't want to say bubble because people are like, you say that's gonna pop, but like an echo chamber of like, oh, we know a lot of people who are into collectibles. Like there are so many people in my personal life who like take so much interest in collectibles even from the outside. So like if they're like, hey, like I have a couple of neighbor friends who were never into cards, nothing. I'm like, hey, I'm going to this card show. I'm going to go like do this. They're like, dude, we got to go. And like the second we left, they were like, that was so like just seeing that like genuine organic excitement of like, please take us to the next one. This was so fun. Like, did you see this? Did you see they had this? Like, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like the passion is like infectious and it's become like, it's like transmitted to like all of these normal people who wouldn't necessarily be into collectibles who are like, oh, wow. Like I would love a like signed hoverboard by Michael J. Fox, like from Back to the Future. Like, there's something really cool about that. And that's one thing I really like about a lot of these shows is we're starting to see things, not just cards. I mean, cards are obviously the staple, right? But like being able to really showcase like a bunch of different stuff. I think people just love it. at this point. And, there's not a lot of, let's call it traditional investments that, our generation is necessarily seeing a lot of benefit from. I mean, there are people that see benefit from it, but I guess saying like, maybe home ownership, for example, like a lot of people see that as like how I would look at how I would look at myself owning like a yacht, for example. Like it's not, there's no chance. Like I'm not doing that.
Mm.
And they're like, hey, I've got all this extra capital because I've been renting, like whatever. I don't really care about crypto, but I kind of want to buy my nostalgia and actually see like it as an investment. I think there's been enough of that for enough years that, yeah, we're starting to see kind of the fruition of that. So, yeah, I don't even know how I got on that rant, but
Yeah.
basically that's what I'm saying.
I think that it's probably very similar to how parents who liked the original series of Star Wars, when their kids watched the prequels, like when Phantom Menace came out and they were able to experience that together. And it was like, oh, well, this person has the nostalgia factor and this person's just getting into it and is super excited about it. Now you have parents who played Pokemon, who are into Pokemon, collected cards as a kid, and now they're having kids, and now their kids are watching the new Pokemon show and they want to collect cards. And it's like a whole experience now where one group has the nostalgia and the other one's coming in fresh. And it's just that, like you said, it's kind of that infectious like excitement that happens, that multi-generations are now experiencing and enjoying together, which I think is pretty unique to Pokemon. I don't think there's been a lot of series, apart from maybe Star Wars, that have been able to, and maybe like Marvel, that have been able to really capture that excitement the same way.
I've never seen like, I've got 3 kids. I have 3 daughters, so like all varying ages. So the fun thing about that is that I've never been a parent who wanted to necessarily force an interest, other than music. That is something I'll force. I'll take full like responsibility. Like, hey, you're going to learn music. You're going to know about it. Like, you're going to expand, from whatever. I still have to listen to my like hours of Taylor Swift a week, but whatever. We can expand from that. But Pokemon is one of those that all of my daughters. I can't say my youngest because she's 7 months, but like my other 2 took a genuine interest and actually like liked Pokemon like by itself. They like found cards that I'd like leave around like the house or something, and loved it. Like they were like, "What's this one called?" Like, "Oh, it's so cool. Let's battle it or whatever." They really liked that. And then, have you ever heard of Life TCG?
Life TCG? No.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Life TCG, it's out of the UK, and what they do is it's really popular, I think. But it's all animals, right?
Gotcha.
And so they have cards that are serialized based on the population of that animal in the world, and they have a 1 of 1 Earth, which is super funny.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea. A lot of it goes to like charity and stuff like that.
It's a really cool idea.
Yeah, so I bought like a first edition whatever box from them like 4 years ago at Collecticon because I was like, oh, this is super cool. Like, absolutely, like I'll buy one, and I kept it sealed forever. I just threw it in my closet, completely forgot I had it, and then my neighbor was over here with his kid, and like we hang out, and he was like, oh, I want to play a game. Like, do we have anything? I was like, dude, let's just rip this Life TCG. So now all we play with are first edition like Life TCG animals, but it's like it's fun to see kids like take a genuine interest in something, and for some reason those 2 games they just like they love. They're like, let's flip a coin, who wins? Okay, I beat you, now I get your card. Like, it's very simple. They're not like playing TCG, but I agree with you. I think that Pokemon specifically, something about it just captures people's like imagination and their genuine interest. And obviously we're both examples of that too, as like grown men. It's like, it doesn't necessarily fade. Marvel comes and goes. I like comics. I don't mind the movies from years ago, but like now I don't care. Star Wars, I've never been a Star Wars fan. I've never seen the original trilogy. And I love saying that out loud to see people's reactions. Like, I've never seen them. I've seen clips. I started at the prequels and kind of went from there. I love the universe, love the idea of it, but it never did anything for me. But Pokemon was always something that like stuck. So I don't know what it is, the magic they've wielded like to make this game, but there's so much genuine interest in it, no matter what your age is, which I think we all benefit from, not only monetarily, but also the community aspect is just, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're in a spot now to where there is basically something for everyone. There's the vintage that is, attracts kind of the older crowd, some of the younger
Mhm.
crowd, and then there's the modern, which attracts basically everybody.
Yeah,
So, most
everybody.
of the
Yeah.
younger crowd and a lot of the older crowd. Yeah, and they're just constantly, but they have so much. Like there's so much that Pokemon provides for everyone. Like the fact that there's an anime that you can watch that literally
Mhm.
started
Well,
25 years ago, and you can
the
watch all the way
games are
up to now.
really. I think without the games, like Pokemon's not half the size it is now.
Oh yeah, that's how me and my brother got into it way back. It was the
Same,
games. Yeah.
same. I mean, they
Yeah.
literally came out with a video game called the Pokemon Trading Card Game,
Yeah.
which taught me basically how to buy packs because that was really the goal, and it worked 100%.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I went straight in. I was like, I gotta buy. Where's Imakuni? Like he's supposed to be selling me packs here, like whatever. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome. Pokemon's awesome. Go to Charlotte, homies will be there in mass. Yeah, that's kind of the one where I feel like everybody goes. Everybody
I
tries to go.
I would love to. If anybody follows my Instagram, come buy cards for me so I can go to Charlotte and hang out with Mason and Java.
Do
That's the
it.
goal.
Do it.
Yeah, I've got an eBay and stuff like that as well. I mean, realistically, I only post like a lot of stuff for sale, like maybe once a week. So um, I don't know. It just depends. I mean, that's the thing. I've got to continue scaling to be able to pay for it as a true business trip, and
Mm.
like that includes like leaving the family, which automatically makes the price more versus like
Oh yeah.
Dallas is like, okay, I'm going to be gone for a day and I'll be right back. So, no, I'd love to, Mason. I'd love to hang again, dude. It's been quite some time since we've seen each other in person. So,
All right. Well, as a person who lives in Texas, I have to ask the question because there has been a split of opinion on Texas barbecue in these conversations so far. And the split is that one person has said that Terry Black's is amazing and you need to try it if you're in Texas. The other person said it was mid. And that some other, oh God, now I'm not going to remember, peach something barbecue. Oh, I don't remember what it was called. Is better. I'm curious your thoughts on Terry Black's and is it mid or is it worth it?
never been. I think what a lot of people forget is Texas is gigantic.
True.
Like it is gigantic, guys. Like whatever your state is, like cool story, bro. Unless you're in Alaska, even Dallas, where I live, I'm telling you, it's like not exaggerating, like 10 to 15 cities in one. Like it's like we're so huge here. So no, I've never had Terry's Black. Now, is there really, really good barbecue here? Absolutely. There's a place right down like maybe 2 miles away from me called 407 Barbecue. It's the best barbecue I've ever had. That's not being biased because I've only lived in this area for almost 2 years and I've been to a lot of different places, Texas, Austin, places like that. Best barbecue depends. I think that because I know Dan has a lot of opinions on barbecue, right? Like he thinks this place is great, he thinks this place sucks, whatever, dude.
Yeah, Dan
And
said that Terry Black's was awful when he had
I
it.
believe it
And
100%. I don't think he'll ever say a place is awesome. Here's the thing: the ambiance has to be there. Like the barbecue can be really good, but it's all about the ambiance. Like, what's it like there? Like, is it a cool scene? Is it a cool environment? Do they give you the bread? Like, I don't know. I just feel like as long as it's like one of those, like it's a dusty old building, but like they're putting out some really great barbecue. Like I'm gonna enjoy that more, even if the barbecue is at like is the exact same at like a really brand new huge building. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
um, so I don't know. To answer your question, I have never tried Terry Black's. I don't think. If I have, I don't remember. Um, but 407 barbecue is personally my favorite. If anybody wants to look that up and come out here to the middle of nowhere, like you can try it. But yeah, as far as best barbecue ever, maybe I've never been to the other really awesome places long enough to try it. I'm a big, I love like Cajun food. Like I love Louisiana food. That's one of my favorite food places to eat.
Mm.
And Chicago is my favorite food city, personally.
Yeah, Chicago has amazing food.
Chicago is like one of my favorites. Yeah, it's even going to like a hole in the wall like bar. I'm like, can I get some sliders for like $9? And they slide me like the most Gordon Ramsay looking plate. And I'm like, what is like, there's so much pride in the food there. And it's one of my favorite places. I love it.
Yeah. Such a good food city. Bucky's all the way. Okay. So Bucky's is a gas station, right? But it has a bunch of food. Yeah.
It's a gas station that's absolutely huge. Yeah. It's like size wise, like it's massive. There's a couple, there's like 2 within like 10 miles of me. So I'm in like the mecca of Bucky's fans. I mean, it's cool. Like, I think it's more of like a tourist destination. Like, I don't purposely go get gas there.
Yeah.
Even though it is the cheapest, but they have like 100 and something pumps, like to give you an idea of like how big this place is. Like, it's insane. And they pay really well. Their employees, they have it like posted everywhere. Like GMs make like 6 figures plus a year. Like, it's a cool business. They have barbecue inside of there. The ingredient list scares me on the wrapper because I'm like, oh my god, like what is not in this? They got good like fudge. They have a whole fudge set up and dessert thing, which is cool. But yeah, Bucky's is cool. I mean, it's a fun brand. I have their fold out chairs anytime we need them. So yeah, it's cool.
Real question, Peak. Are you eating white bread and onions with your brisket or not?
Yeah, dude, for sure. And pickles. You got to get pickles on the side. That's like your palate cleanser. But yeah, white bread and onions. Dude, I eat onions and garlic on everything. So yes, 100%, dude. If you don't, like, you don't eat barbecue or you have no palate. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I've only got a couple of people who don't like onion. They're like, I don't like onions or garlic. I'm like, do you hate flavor? Like, I don't understand what you're telling me at this point.
All right. So a couple questions that I've been asking people on all of these, which I'm sure you've heard it at this point, but hot take and an act of kindness. So either something that happened to you, something that you did for someone else, or something that you observed between 2 people, hobby related, and a hot take, hobby related. So whichever one you got first, hit me.
So give you a hot take and then give you a like sentimental thing I've seen of the hobby. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah.
Okay. I love hot take, spicy take Java, by the way. I saw your video about all the negative. And like, I love seeing the uncensored, unfiltered Java. That's like one of my favorites. Please keep that up. Maybe once a month, you just hit us with it all on a Java rant. We'll start with the positive. I will say, so I'm trying to remember who was it that sent me this. Oh my gosh, I'm going to feel so bad. Hold on. I don't remember who it was. Oh, I'm so sad. So Professor Oak has a Discord, as most people know. He does a Secret Santa every year. This year, I received my favorite, by far favorite, Secret Santa gift of all time. It was a bunch of packs. I think a slab was in there too. But I got sent this, which you might be able to see it. Hold on. Put it in front of me.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so this is, there's ears, right? Oh my gosh. Who was this? Hive Mind, maybe?
I kind of think it was Hive Mind, yeah.
I think Hive Mind's. Yeah, actually it was Hive Mind. Okay, so this was a Nigel Thornberry Funko Pop. He put the ears on it. He painted the whole thing. Like,
that's crazy.
Front of it, put the tail on.
Yeah.
He made me a Peek That Chew, like, custom Funko after, like, you know, it's in the box. Like, he bought it. But I just, like, I could not believe the sheer amount of effort that was put into making something that, like, matches, I guess, my brand or, like, whatever you want to call it, logo. And I think the, you know, limit or whatever that Professor Oak does in his Discord is like $20, right? You know, I had sent like some slabs, like I sent over that, but I sent slabs and like packs and like whatever. But to get something to put so much effort into making something, I was just like blown away. I was like, dude, that is like the nicest thing I've ever seen. It truly reminded me like why I love this community so much. Like, it was so much paying attention. It was thoughtful. It was amazing. So I hate to make it like something that I experienced like firsthand, but like that was like, there was no need for him to do that. So I had it next to me and I was like, I haven't really experienced too much sentimental stuff, I guess, like, or witnessed it maybe. But that was amazing.
No, yeah, that's super awesome.
Um, let me see. Spicy take. Just spicy take in general on the market.
Just anything
Oh
Pokemon
man.
related.
Say it again.
Just anything Pokemon related. Anything you could think of.
Anything Pokemon related. Okay. Um, most of I can't say that. It's hard, dude. Most of the content you ingest is lying to you and is playing a character, is what I will say. That may be like, you know, obvious to a lot of you, or some of you, or maybe only a couple. Most people on YouTube play a character. Like, there is something behind the curtain. Almost all of the drama, rage bait stuff that you're seeing is pre-planned, discussed. Like, this is coming from like firsthand, like this is how it works. So I guess what I would say is not only just a spicy take, but also like a little nugget of something to think about. Like, please do not take almost any creator who is on YouTube or anything else at their word on anything they're telling you about anything in the market. Take it with a grain of salt. Take a bunch of different people's and kind of draw your own opinion from what you see like in real time. But like, almost all of it is like just literally meant to get you to engage. I don't care how much they say they hate another person or there's like these back and forth videos or like you are being like reality TV. So just, that is really what content is in today's space, no matter what. It's not limited to Pokemon, but like people have caught on now for quite some time that like that's how you get views. And you've ranted about this quite a bit, obviously. It's not about quality content. It's about quantity of content and quantity of engageable content. Engageable means negative works, confusing titles work. And then whatever you say is like whatever you say. Like, it's just like, it has to fit that narrative, whatever chat GPT title it's come up with. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's spicy. I don't know if that's common knowledge, but like, that's like a thing I think most people don't talk about. So like
Yeah.
that is what's going on, guys. So like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and people, I know for a while there was I mean, they will do anything to get you to comment on a video. There was a while where people would exaggerate like a certain part of a person's face on a thumbnail, like just enough to make it look weird so that people would
Still
comment and be
happens.
like, what happened there? Like, why is his head so big? Why are his eyes so big? Stuff like that.
It's That's no different than websites that you would click on with like completely unrelated stuff. Then you get to the bottom of the article and it's like John Travolta's like 700 pounds. They're like, what happened? Or
Yeah.
like top 10 celebrities who let themselves go.
Yeah.
It's no different, guys. Like, it's all
Yeah.
the same. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah. And I've heard of people that even they'll have captions on the video and they'll purposefully misspell a word so that people in the comments will be like, "Oh, you spelt that wrong," and they want you to say that they spelt it wrong
Mm-hmm.
because that's engagement on the
There's a
comments. So they are figuring it out and they are playing you.
there's a really great it's like kind of like a documentary video about this guy who creates like, I think he's at like 6 YouTube channels and he just starts them over and gets like 200,000 subs. And his whole thing is shorts. And he talks about that in particular, like down to an absolute science, like to like basically, I won't say stealing content, but sees what works, mimics it, and then takes all the things you're talking about, misspells a word, says something like calling a Pokemon the wrong name. Like, and I'm not saying that this is like all content, but like, guys,
Right.
there's so many people who do this type of stuff on purpose, or they'll say something like completely bombastic that's completely wrong, right? Like, it's like, yeah, Scarlet and Violet, let's just say Evolving Skies booster boxes. Yeah, they were selling for like $200 last week. I just saw it. They don't know, like, no, that's not true. And you're gonna get a bunch of people in the comments be like, they're not $200. Like, this box is way more than, like,
Yeah.
it's all purposeful. So like, I think so many people in this hobby have got by a lot of this content. I think it's somewhat dangerous. I think a lot of people are being kind of led and they don't realize it. So I think it's important to say, like, if you're going to watch content, like live conversations like this, like you can only BS for so long. Like talking for a straight hour is really hard to like do,
Yeah.
especially if you're hosting people and interviewing them like Java, does, and like I do on my channel. It's there's still going to be somewhat of a character because people want to present themselves in some way, but ultimately, like 45 minutes in, like you're gonna start to see like those layers peel off, right? Like you're gonna see what this person is like. At least that's what I've experienced. But um, yeah, most content is literally just meant to get you to engage, no matter what it is. Like and subscribe is not just all you can do. Like
Yeah.
commenting, getting mad, watching it, hate watching it, like it all works.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had this happen unintentionally with my tag rating video because I say tag instead of tag.
It was purposeful. You know how to say
And
it, Java.
and there's so many comments on the video of people being like, why
Hey.
are you mispronouncing the name of the company?
Yeah.
It's tag or it's tag, not tag. And
Tag.
it's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like that's how I say it. But yeah, it just naturally generated a bunch of people mad at me and a bunch of people saying it in the comments. So I'm sure my next tag video will have a bunch of people telling me that I'm saying
You
it
can't
wrong.
change it. You can't change the way you pronounce it at this point because it's not a bunch of people mad at you. It's
Yeah.
just a bunch of people engaging with you. That's all you've done.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to like say like Nostalgianomics, right? Like Alex, like I had him on my channel. I don't mind him. Like him and I like have a decent like relationship. Um, but he thrives and absolutely dominates like the hate train in Pokemon YouTube content. Like he's done it incredibly well in a way that like people dislike him so much that people defend him because they see so much hate coming in. So he's literally built like two different armies fighting each other, and he's up here just watching all the engagement. Like it's genius, and it's so great to watch that live. Because he's not really doing anything crazy. Like people are like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's rooted in the hobby." Like he's really not. He's just incredibly opinionated, knows when to strike matches, and it's great. Like so many people just fall into it. Now, I'm not calling him out for anything in particular. I'm just saying like there's a lot of people who do that, but like Alex has shown me personally, like from what I've been able to like witness and experience, like it's kind of like a master class in being able to ride the hate to like really getting a lot of success out of it. So props to him. I really have nothing negative to say about him. I think he's done it very, very well.
Yeah. What I should do in the next video is I should say it right like half the time and wrong like half the time. Oh, I don't know. But
Tag counter.
it definitely it definitely happens. So I don't know, unless Chad has any more questions. We are well past my bedtime, so we could wrap this one a little bit early. But yeah, I am I'm all up on my end. So yeah, we could wrap it up here. If that's cool with you.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, man.
Okay, cool. Peak, if you want to say one more time where people can find you and support you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, guys. So Peak That Chew on YouTube, Instagram. Those are really my two main pieces. Got an eBay as well. If you guys want to go look over there, I'm not posting as much because I'm putting on. I'm selling a lot of stuff through Fanatics through consignment. So, but I would say right now, like I have a decent amount of like members on YouTube now. So one thing I always like to say, and I'll have this posted later tonight, actually. Like I said, Nat Turner will be coming on Friday. That'll be April 25th for an interview. So part of being like the most basic tier, I think it's like $1.99. Whether somebody gifts it to you or you guys pay for it, you get priority questions answered. So you can actually comment on this. It's like a community post only for members. So you can comment on that, and whatever your question is, like you are guaranteed to get it asked during that live. And like some of the people we have coming on, like you'll definitely want questions answered because not a lot of people are gonna. Sometimes if it's like too spicy or like whatever, I'm gonna skip over it. Members, it's not the case. Like they will get asked to a certain extent. Like I'm not gonna let you like curse somebody out, but like you know what I mean. but yeah, that would be the best way to support. I mean, any sort of support like that with the channel is just amazing. I take any funds out of that and put it directly toward improving either content with StreamYard's subscription, or like, I'm not even going to say camera or anything like that because I'm not doing hardware yet. But like any sort of support like that is great. But YouTube, Peek That Chew, PeekDatChu, Nigel Thornberry face out of Pikachu Body, Instagram, YouTube. That's where you can find me. For the most part.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this 30 chats, 30 days. And yeah, I really appreciate you being here. It was a great conversation. And we'll see you tomorrow. I'll be talking to, I believe it's Bierski tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll
be
be fun. And then I think I have Jake Pokenomics on Friday. So that'll be
Oh man,
good.
prepare yourself. You're going to go a lot more than an hour 10.
Yeah.
Like without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's a 4-hour pod.
But yeah, thank you very much for hopping on. I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for beer.
Bye, chat.
See ya.
See you guys.